They hid the truth in shadows, but every heart can find its light. We heard the silence and the quiet, feelings lost behind a veil of doubt. Step by step, our voices growing, breaking chains they tried to keep us bound. Every whispered lie can't hide the hope we hold. Every gentle truth will guide us through the cold. Like dawn across the darkest night, we lift our dreams into the sky. One heart, one voice will shine the light. Together rising, we will find the why. Steps of courage move the mountains. Softest words can break the mold. In each seed of truth we're planting, see the world transform before it's cold. Gather all our hopes and dreams, reach out and love and let it be. One taught across the darkest night, we lift our dreams into the sky. One heart, one voice will shine a light. Together rising, we will find our own. Hand in hand, standing through the sky. Together rising, we will find the why.
Brian is innocent. Brian has been essentially convicted in the media. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian is innocent. So if I talk about things that are in the affidavit, and if I talk about things that we're seeking that the state wants to hide, I think that's fair game for the public to hear.
Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome so much to my live part 3, Dirty Little Secrets in Idaho. How is everyone here today? I hope you are so super amazing on this Friday evening. I have some information, and it's going to be bombshell. I don't use that term very often. I usually say fireball, but this has me thinking and rethinking everything that we've learned over the last 2.5, 3 years in this case. And as many of you know, I have followed it very quietly until more documents have been released, and I started looking into everything a little bit more, just like many of you. So I want to welcome everyone in, and I'm going to get to it because I know people have been waiting and salivating over this information that has been in plain sight. In plain sight, y'all. So welcome, Critic Rick. Never fails to get in here at least 6 hours early. Shout out to you, dude. Lulu Bell, welcome. Welcome in. He's even got a countdown. Wicca in the house. Hello. Patty OG, my bestie, Amanda B, and Les. I know you'll be right back, honey. Happy Friday. No talkie before coffee. So I hope you guys had your coffee today. Rebecca, welcome in. And Holly, eyes wide open. I see you. Dina, welcome in. Haley, good to see ya. Caught alive. All right, Danielle, I'm glad you did. Mary Coleman, Tammy, Beck, hello. I love your name, Holly, by the way. Misinformation, hello. Good afternoon to you. Welcoming everyone in. I love it. Welcome everyone in. Baby B, welcome. Sherry, welcome. So glad to see you. All right, let's get the show on the road. As people come in, just welcome them in. And wherever you are in this whole IDAHO4 thing, all I can say is, wow. Wow, wow, wow. If you know what I know, then you are going to be wowed. So here we go.
They hid the truth in shadows, but every heart can find its light.
To Boise, Idaho, where the confessed killer of 4 university students was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Relatives and friends of Brian Kohberger's victims gave often emotional impact statements. Kohberger declined the chance to address the court and shed any light on why he did what he did. He confessed last month in order to avoid the death penalty. Correspondent Dan Springer is in Boise, Idaho tonight with the latest. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening, Brett. Brian Kohberger is leaving a major question unanswered tonight as he received the exact penalty that he agreed to along with prosecutors in order to keep him from the death penalty. 4 consecutive life terms with no chance for parole. It was an emotional hearing today. Family members of 3 of the victims, Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, and Xana Kernodle, confronted Kohberger. Some mocked him.
Police officers tell us within minutes they had your DNA, like a calling card.
But did they really have Brian Kohberger's DNA? We'll have to take a look at the documents, because back in February 2025, in fact, there was DNA analysis that claimed the mixture of DNA was not, I'll repeat, not Brian Kohberger. And at that time, Ann Taylor, Brian Christopher Kohberger's lead defense attorney, shared startling new information that would shape the foundation of her trial defense. Ann Taylor revealed that blood from a still unknown male had been found on the stair handrail at 1122 King Road. In addition, blood from another still unknown male that had been found on a glove outside the home. Even Judge Stephen Hibbler wondered out loud in a hearing, does this suggest the potential of other persons involved? And he said that didn't exclude Kohberger. He was quick to add that statement. But the unknown blood did raise the possibility that there might have been accomplices in the murder. Taylor was prepared with her own theory. Perhaps she offered one of the 2 unknown males whose blood had been found had planted Kohberger's DNA at the scene. It was never confirmed that Kohberger had any direct connection to this home or these individuals. However, it was never even confirmed that it was his vehicle along the said routes.
The circus isn't coming to town and they can avoid this trial, or are they so embedded with the families there that they wanted more closure for them?
Moscow is a pretty complicated little town. It's in its own way, it's sort of like Twin Peaks. I mean, what you have is in one part of the town is a very liberal university. The University of Idaho is ranked as the biggest party school, #1 party school in the state. The major church group in this town is sort of a right-wing fundamentalist Christian group that wants to create a what they call the American Redoubt. That's their word, which would be sort of a Christian capital of America. They were very anti-vaccination. They've been suing the town. There were death threats on the police before these murders. So the town is really, as one lawyer involved in the case told me when I was interviewing him, the town is at the verge of a civil war, he said. So into this town, which is already full of torment and tumult, becomes 4 murders. I think this town is ripped apart forever. And talk about cynicism. The university decides to get rid of the murder house. It's the university's decision. They were given the house on King Road where the murders occurred. Why did they decide to tear this down? Well, because when visiting families would come with their prospective students to the campus, one of the main tour stops was the murder house. and this didn't set the right impression. So in the zeal to get new students, they tore down this house thinking it would all go away. But this is not going to go away. This is literally a curse on this town for generation to generation to
Howard,
generation.
you've been in the game for a very, very long time. Very, very successful. New York Times. Now what you're doing with airmail. How about you? You've had to dig deep into this thing, and you've seen a lot. You've talked to people. You've felt the pain of the parents. You know details that other people don't. Has this affected you at all? Because there's a lot of disturbing elements in this thing.
It's been a very personal journey for me. As I said, I'm the father of 3 children. Your heart goes out to the parents. I mean, on one breath, you feel yourself lucky. Thank God this didn't happen to me. And at the same time, it's just hard to deal with what's happened to them. Also, though, there's a lot of antagonism in this town. For someone coming in, a New Yorker like myself, coming in, poking around, it was very difficult to get to the bottom of things. There also was a gag order to see in the weeks ahead. The gag order was introduced not long after a Koberger was arrested. That was 7 weeks after the murders. That meant that the prosecutors, the law enforcement people couldn't talk. I'd gotten out there earlier, so I've made some introductions. But now, perhaps the floodgates will open. And now perhaps make a call to a lawyer, make a call to a police officer, and maybe they'll be more candid. It'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, so they weren't real welcoming to you, the way it sounds, but you had to develop some relationships there with law enforcement, the attorneys, etc. Did they soften over time, or are they still real anti about big city folk from New York, writers coming in and doing what they do?
I'll tell you one small story without mentioning names. When I first got out there, I was looking for a place to stay. So I'm driving around the campus area, and I see one hotel, motel, that says discounts for federal and state employees. So I figured federal and state employees, that means FBI and state troopers. So I check in there, I go down to the bar with my American Express card, and each night, and I'm not saying an FBI agent can be bought for a free beer, but by the third beer, he's becoming a little less antagonistic and a little more.
Well, that's a savvy journalist right there, man. You got to know what you're doing, right? And I bet you got some great information too.
I got some stuff. Yeah. There's still a whole story. The gag order was very tight. As things started leaking, the screws were turned by the federal government. Also, the federal government had things they wanted to cover up. For example, the way they got the DNA in this case, they went to DNA websites, genetic websites that had inventories of people giving in their DNA that they were prohibited from accessing, and yet they accessed them. This was in violation of the terms of the website. If one of the people on that website wanted to sue the federal government or the FBI, they might have a case.
And in fact, a website was made. It's justice4, FOURALL.com, so that you can go and review each individual document to spread awareness in regards to the Bryan Kohberger case in the state of Idaho. You can see all the court documents, all the FBI DNA analysis, all the experts' testimony, all the ISP photos and redacted police reports from the Idaho State Police and Moscow Police. You'll even see the information from the Pullman Police Department. It's all there for your viewing.
3 different DNAs found underneath Maddie's fingernails, and none of them Bryan Kohberger. None of them Bryan Kohberger.
So they had the knife sheath with a miraculous DNA match, but minuscule amounts, and apparently only touch DNA, which, as we discussed in episode 2, is not exactly a smoking gun. Touch DNA. A defense attorney can do a lot to poke holes in touch DNA.
Developments out of Idaho, where a court filing in the case against Brian Koberger is revealing some potential that there's a 3-person mixture in the DNA found underneath the left fingernail of victim Madison Logan.
There's a reason why there's so much secrecy.
What if I told you that forensic science isn't always the open and shut case that we might think it is?
I should imagine this briefly. A loved one is hurt or killed in a crime. Someone's finally arrested. You go through the endless trials, and someone is incarcerated for the crime. You think you're done with it. 12 years, 20 years later, you hear they got the wrong person. That's the kind of thing that we're trying to avoid. And so in order to do that, we have to constantly be looking at our techniques to see how to improve them. And so I'm going to talk about some issues in my own field that I've seen in my work. I work in all 50 states now. I have cases overseas, Asia, Africa, Europe. And some of the things I've seen that I'm concerned about and that I've raised at professional meetings, some of it's never been shown before, and I'll show you tonight. So we'll be talking about forensic DNA errors. I don't want you to think it's all bad. It's not all bad. It's a great field. It's my life. And I'm going to break it into 2 categories. One is statistical and interpretive errors, so things where the conclusions are wrong based on human reasoning and mathematics. And the other one is contamination, which is kind of easy to understand. Somebody spills some DNA or it gets transferred. And then I'll tell you what my lab here in Boise is working on in the contamination area very briefly. So we'll have the first slide. I'm going to turn you into DNA experts. Get ready for science. Here it goes. This is the easy stuff. This is a single source. I can teach you guys to do this immediately. Let's say I decide I'm going to commit a crime with this. It's clean, it just got out of the dishwasher, and there was bleach in the dishwasher, so it has no DNA on it. I touch it, and I go to the front row, and I commit a murder. Okay, the police come, they do the spatter, they collect some of the blood to identify the victim, they see my fingerprint, and I always carry a swab. They take, I really do always carry, they take a swab, they swab it, and what's really nifty about these swabs is you can just knock the ends off, but I'm going to pull it and put it in here. I should be wearing gloves, etc., etc. Okay. Now the issue is, am I the murderer? Right. So here.
Did they in fact get the DNA wrong? There's still 2 unidentified male DNA at the scene of the crime. Who could potentially be the murderer on the loose? And we are going to get into the dirtiest secret ever in the IDAHO4. And I'll begin at a document that you probably have seen before. And in this document, Moscow Police Department 41, on November 17th, they took Jack DeCur's phone. And yes, folks, the Idaho State Police retrieved the phone from the forensic lab where it was prior and returned it. They delivered the phone to the individual per the attorney's request. The other document that links this individual is quite alarming. And we'll have to go back a little bit to a couple of other documents that were shared in the Moscow investigation. And this is item number, God, I need my glasses. Give me a break. 15. In this document, you'll see a couple of different things. And I don't know why all of a sudden nothing wants to work on my computer. Can you guys hear me? If you can, drop a 1, please. I have no idea what happened. Drop a 1. Okay, you can hear me. That was so freaking odd. Okay, so that was scary, y'all. Felt like you just lost me. So let me pull this up real quick for you on my side. And in this document, I mean, I'm a little shocked at what I've uncovered. I don't know if they thought anyone was going to actually read these documents and actually apply them and get to the place that I got to. It's totally mind-boggling. This report came from University of Idaho. They went to a women's center because on 11/15, after the homicides, someone was afraid of their boyfriend, LM, that perhaps there was some domestic things happening. Now remember, if this is the same LM that was there at the night of the unalivings, this LM possibly could have been watching Vampire Diaries with BF and DM. And according to this individual, this boyfriend of theirs was very, very not nice. So when you start looking at the documents and you're putting these together, there was an AA that said that they had cut their hand on a chicken sandwich. And then later on said, maybe I cut my hand on possibly a window. And we see that in another document. And then we get to the meat and potatoes tonight. And this is what made me go, something's not right. Because we do know that Jack DeCour was interviewed by the ISP and was pretty upset because someone had been putting out reports saying that he was struggling and having a hard time. And on November 16th, just a few days after this horrible, heinous crime, DS and JH from the DOS office came into the ISUB. You know, the ISUB is the little police department on campus. And S stated he had information regarding the homicide. And who is DS? I'll bring that to you on my next one. But they had information. JH and DS were both in the same frat. They stated at the DOS office they had a debrief to check in on everyone. S said JD name was brought up. He said it got him thinking because D had recent care report put in on him. On 11/3/22, D emailed the DOS saying he had a maybe a life circumstance change that decreased my mental health. On 11/14, S called D. S said D seemed distant, distracted, and had S also brought up the grub truck video. He said he was guessing, but he believed that D, following the victims and hovering around them, was D at the grub truck that night? Was that him in the videos that were seen floating around on the internet? In fact, is it possible that he was seen that night at the Corner Club? It's always been suspected. You know, the Corner Club where Kaylee and Maddie were at that night. So, it was said that he was at the grub truck. And after finding out what happened, Dee was more concerned about his dog than his ex-girlfriend Kaylee. Since high school in 5 years. I thanked S for the information. I asked if he'd be able to provide me with the care reports for D they referenced. H said they did not seem hugely concerned, but would attempt to gather them. So was this information put on the back burner and lost and forgotten? Let's take a look at a video that I captured on the morning of the crimes. This individual's movements.
Oh, yeah, thank you. No, you're good. Hang in there, brother. There.
Now that is JD in the blue tan shorts that arrives at the scene.
Did they tell you anything? They were just about like 4 when we were in the main room. This is one of the pretty much they were in the main room. I heard them dancing and laughing. Kaylee went upstairs and she screamed because someone was in the room and she ran downstairs. And I kept calling her name and she wouldn't answer. And then I saw the guy. I actually locked the door and then I ran downstairs to we don't know what's going on.
Can you come here with me, please? Break Fire 3170. Could you guys grab some blankets for all these people out here?
Oh, okay.
Nope. Just come over here with me, please. Okay. Just give me 1 second. Please. I'm going to get your name and information. Just 1 second. We'll get you a blanket and stuff, alright? Thanks, guys. Yeah, that'd be good for now, and then maybe the big white blankets whenever you're moving on. Actually, you guys should probably just hang on to these whenever. Is that ambulance on its way? No, they got it. Okay. We would like a blanket right now. It's temporary. Anybody like one for your feet to stand on? Okay. I'll let you. Thanks, man. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, if that ambulance shows up, that'd be great too. Grab some blankets. Yeah, 1 second, man. Let me just grab all your guys' info. They're warmer? Okay. I know she was barefoot, so I was hoping to get something for her, but thank you very much. Thanks, boss. What's your last name? And your first name? And your middle name? What's a good phone number to reach you? Okay, and is this your address?
Yes.
What's that address?
1122 King Road.
Is your driver's license right?
Yes.
Okay. How much have you seen in there?
No, I don't really know. I I just saw my friend when I called.
How much did you see in there? Did you catch what she said? She almost began to start saying.
Because we were so scared, we're like, can you please come help us? And that's all I saw. He told us not to go in. That man right there. That helped tell you around.
We did go in there.
Yeah, and that's when he told us he needed to call the cops.
Okay. Do you mind just waiting over there for me, please? Okay. When...
Just watch his interactions. Observe the blue sweatshirt in the tan pants.
You said... Okay. Can you spell that for me? Do you have a middle name? What's your date of birth? What's a good phone number to reach you at? And then is your driver's license through what state? What state is your driver's license through? Do you have a room that's assigned to you here? When you go in?
No one else lets me out.
Were you here last night? Okay. Is it okay if you walk over to my car with me and we can talk over there? Okay. I'll tell you the same thing I told her. She was probably going to be talking to a lot of people, retelling the same story. So...
Am I still allowed to go home?
we can't hold you forever. Okay. So we'll cross that bridge when it gets there, and the detectives will work with you guys to get hold of you however the best can. Okay. So you worked here last night. What time frame were you here through now? Were you here the whole time?
Yeah, but like...
Okay. What time did you get here last night?
Can I check?
Yeah. While you do that, I'll turn off my lights here. I'll be right back. I forgot you were here, man. Do you still want to hang out here?
I just want to know what's going on.
Yeah. I don't know how much I'm allowed to disclose right now. We're processing what's going on in the scene. As soon as we know for sure we can tell you guys what's going on, we absolutely will. I know it sucks to be in the dark with this, but... Okay. And what's your relationship again? Okay. Yeah, I mean, as soon as I know we're able to fill you in on what's going on, we'll let you know, okay? Like I said, you're welcome to get out at any point. If you want to hang out in here, you can, because it's warm. If not, you want to hang out with him, you're going to hang out outside, too. Okay. Tell you what, I'll just crack the door. I'll try to not lock it on you, so if you need to get up. Water dishes? We can start, yeah, we can see if somebody can bring some of that stuff by. Okay.
So in the days to follow, a couple of things take place within 48 hours. And the paramedics do not go in because the officer goes out and tells them there's no need for life-saving procedures. But in the document of all documents that is right in front of our faces, I'm going to read something to you that will make a hell of a lot of sense, rather than the nonsense that some people are trying to make you believe in the IDAHO4. In this document, Supplement ISP 168, I'm going to read to you something that will open your eyes and your faith will be shaken in what we have been told all along since these documents have been released. On November 15th, Detective Sergeant Van Leuven interviewed Jack DeCoeur on several occasions beginning on the 15th. They interviewed him on several occasions. This supplemental report adds the audio from all those interviews into evidence, along with many witness statements. And I mean many. I interviewed blank at Idaho State Police District 1 office on November 15, 2022. Blank was the ex-boyfriend of the victim, Kaylee. He had been dating Kaylee since they were in high school and dated on and off for approximately 5 years. Blank said they had broken up approximately 3 months earlier due to her taking a job in Austin, and it had been a mutual decision with no drama. Remember the report that I just shared with you from the University of Idaho DOS at the substation, where 2 frat individuals went and told them that JD was having a hard time. He had a something circumstance in his life and had substantially decreased my mental health. I just told you that. In his statement, there was no drama. Blank advised he was driving a blank in a blank. So did he have 2 cars? Did JD have 2 cars? He said that that vehicle was owned by Kaylee's parents and they were allowing him to drive the vehicle. Yes, he had 2 cars. One white car, a Hyundai Elantra, and what was his other car? The Elantra was owned by Kaylee's parents that he was allowed to drive. But he had another vehicle. I asked, blank advised that he lived at blank blank in Moscow with a number of roommates. Yes, it was an Elantra. Yes, it was Steve G's. Yes, it was an Elantra. And that Elantra was seen going up Highway 95 into Micah. I did that on another expose. I'll be bringing you the revealing. So he says he's listed as roommates at X, Y, and Z. I noted the location of his apartment and the crime scene were near each other. I noted that the roommates were all members of the blank fraternity. Y'all, it gets even better. I asked to describe his whereabouts leading up to that time the homicides occurred. On Saturday, November 12th, I was advised he was at work at the blank, blank, blank between 2:30 and 10 p.m. Yes, JD drove a white Elantra that belonged to Steve G, and the parents, Steve G and KG, allowed him to drive the white Elantra that they owned. Now, he says he was working mostly in the kitchen. He drove home to the duplex and went upstairs when he found his roommates and blank. Also present, a girlfriend who was not a roommate named blank went downstairs, changed into a sweatshirt, got a beer, and waited for the sober driver to appear. So was a blank freshman to come pick him up. Blank said the sober driver arrived in what he thought was a black Nissan Xterra. Whoa, remember the tire marks that I showed you just a few days ago that we measured out that could be a midsize SUV or a truck? Interesting. That took him and Blank to the corner club. Was that JD at the corner club? Yes. Per his statement to the police, he arrived at the corner club at 11 p.m. He said the club was packed and that they were admitted in because his roommate was working at the club. Who is his roommate? Who's his roommate and his workmate? Who is his roommate and works at the corner club? Adam Landa. Correct. All part of the same frat. He said he got into a confrontation with the Blank member named Blank because he had been messing with one of his friends. Blank friend who was there told to lay off, and blank bought each other a shot. JD said he saw Kaylee at the club that night. It was not uncommon for Kaylee to be at the club. So do you all remember those early videos talking about Maddie and Kaylee and JD at the corner club? Was that JD at the corner club? Yes, that was in fact. Check that off the list. At the corner club. He left, he said, approximately at 1 a.m. And he said Blank and Blank were picked up from the club by Blank, who was the president of the Blank fraternity, and returned to their apartment. Wait. So-and-so, the girls were picked up. Who was picked up by the president of Blank fraternity and returned to their apartment? Who? Oh, it gets interesting, folks. He said he consumed 2 beers, 2 shots of tequila, and 1 shot of Rumple Mints, and a 32-ounce tub of beer. Well, that was all within 3 hours? Yeah, 8, 9, 10, 11, 3 hours. So after returning to the apartment, he hung out with his roommates for a period of time and tried to throw up, but couldn't. And he just went to bed. Yeah. Well, then he said he woke up at 11:30 a.m. the next day, Sunday the 13th, and said blankety blank came to his apartment and talked about the cops being down near the street of the house. He tried to call Kaylee on her phone, but no answer. Wait, this was the same guy who didn't mention anything about all the calls that were trying to be put through to him. Didn't say one word. Said he walked down the street to the apartment and he saw Blank, who was Ethan Chapin's brother. And we saw that on the video I just showed you. He asked one of the officers on the scene to tell him what was going on, and the officer said his ex-girlfriend lived in that house, and said the police put him in the back of the patrol car for 45 minutes. Well, any good officer would know in the Reed technique, the first people you question are the closest ones to them. 100%. 100%. Also present sitting with blank was another blank and said it was a good friend of Kaylee's. At some point, the university put out a text, university-wide, announcing the homicide had occurred. At my request, the investigator asked JD, dude, I need you to sit down and I need you to do me a favor. I need you to, excuse me. I need you to, but first, let me tell you this. First, I want you to remember the key phrase of what happened here. Maddie, what did you tell Adam? Remember that. I asked if he had any idea who would have been responsible for committing these homicides. They were broken up. Had JD ever been to the 1122 address? I wonder. I asked him to draw the names of the persons he knew to be living in each room. I have attached these sketches and placed the scans on a disc to include the audio recordings of interviews as well as other documents. I asked if he had any idea who had been responsible for committing these homicides. Blank advised that he had been seen on video on the grub truck on Main Street the night before, showing a blank name member seeing them follow Kaylee and Maddie Mogan from the grub truck before they went home. A frat member named Jack Showalter? I wonder if that redacted name could possibly be it. Alleged. And I advised that he heard from blank, a man named blank that had been acting predatory at the club the night before, and the corner club had kicked him out. Blank asked to describe what vehicles the 4 victims drove. Well, why did they want to know what vehicles the 4 victims drove? He advised Maddie Mogan drove a white Chevy Cruze. Kaylee drove a silver Range Rover. Ethan drove a red Jeep, and Xana drove a blue Honda Civic. We took a break and left the room to speak to his mother, who was concerned about JD. Upon returning from speaking with his mother, he said he did not want to continue the interview without a lawyer being present. We stopped the interview and left. Wicca, what questions you got? Drop them below. I'm reading the chat and my mods are looking too. Two days later, Blank returned on November 17th with his attorney, Jed Nixon. After a brief recap of what we had discussed on the homicides occurred, he said he, blank and blank, got to their apartment a little after 1 a.m. He said his bedroom was on the main floor and he hung out with his friends for 10 to 15 minutes. He advised he was drunk. I asked him, on an estimate on a scale of 1 to 10, how drunk was he? He said he would put his intoxication at an 8 out of 10. Blank advised he never experienced memory lapses and never walked in his sleep and never acted while asleep. Blank advised he went to bed approximately 1:20 a.m. and he woke up the next day and noticed that he had a number of missed calls from both Kaylee and Maddie. So this Jack is the Jack. I don't know why they put out in the beginning they did not know an unnamed Jack. This Jack is the Jack indeed they're talking about. So I don't know why, and I showed you the news. They said Olivia had stated an unnamed Jack. They knew it was Jack Decor. There was approximately 7 from Kaylee and 3 from Maddie. Blank said that he had no argument with Kaylee the night before, and there was no dispute, and no one was upset about anything. I noted in looking at the phone records, but there had been several text messages the night before between JD and Kaylee. The last text message from Kaylee was at 2:15 telling him she had his vape and that he can come pick it up at her house. I advised that there appeared to be a telephone call at 2:26 between Blank and Kaylee that lasted 17 minutes the night before. Blank said he didn't recall the phone number and couldn't explain it. That was the night before, not the night of. The unknown Jack was the night before. That was truthful. He said he didn't recall, he couldn't explain it. He said maybe in his sleep he thought it was an alarm and he pushed the side of the button or the ringer off. That may have been the other Jack the night before. We have a lot of Jacks in this whole IDAHO4 mystery. A lot of Jacks. I learned that Blank had been referenced to the Blank Center because one of his professors reported them that he was concerned about what? The report that we just showed you over his mental health. The website states the mission of the Blank is to provide care and concern for its students, faculty, and staff who, blankety blank, highly redacted, probably experience a crisis in life. There's nothing wrong with getting help. He said he'd been missing more classes than normal after the breakup with Kaylee and had been bothering him. But remember, his 2 frat brothers that I've already told you I found, DS and JH, already reported that they were very concerned with him on the 16th, days after the unaliving. Does that mean he harmed somebody? No, but let me get to the best part. So he said that he talked about Kaylee going to Texas and the fact that she initiated the breakup. I asked Blank directly if he committed these murders, and he stated he did not. Consequently, he gave DNA samples at my request. He also consensually gave his phone records to be downloaded. I later took the DNA samples and transferred them to the custody of the MPD. I took the thumb drive containing the download and gave it to everyone, and it was all chain of custody approved. Check, check, check. The remainder was basically the victimology relation questions. See the audio. The number had follow-up questions, interactions with this investigation. On the 18th, he consented, y'all, to do a search of his apartment. The forensic examiner, CSI, went into their apartment and after searching the areas, consented. We found a drop of possible blood on the wall of the entryway. A sample of this was collected. He also noted that he had 5 or 6 small drops or runs of blood on the kitchen wall. Kitchen wall. Samples were collected. The search and collection of possible bullet drop samples bullet drop samples. Does anybody know what a bullet drop sample is? I don't know. I'm going to look it up real quick. Oh, shit. Shit. Huh. Holy moly. Anyone want to take a guess? Oh, shit. Can we free Brian now? I bet it was the freezer. Oh my goodness. A bullet drop sample usually refers to a piece of forensic evidence collected when investigating a shooting. I've been having problems all day long with my internet, so I apologize. Yes, bullet drop samples. So there you go, folks. So what does all this mean? Well, I'm going to finish this report real quick, and then we're going to get back to wrapping this up because you are going to want to hear this. So they left the apartment of JD's and his roommate Adam, and the original documents were sent to the MPD for chain of custody. And I advised if I had follow-up questions on November 18th, 2022, 21, all the different times that they interviewed him, all the different times. Blank advised that he and Kaylee were co-owners of a middle golden doodle named Murphy, who was 11 months old. Murphy was in the house, and Kaylee and others on the night of the murders had occurred. So Murphy was at that house, per JD. And on January 4th, I contacted Blank through his attorney and asked him to bring Murphy to the Idaho State Police office in Coeur d'Alene so he could get samples of Murphy's hair. He brought the dog in, clipped the samples, and there was nothing further. Nothing. Now, I don't know if you've been watching my TikToks over the, last 9 months, maybe. I do some tickety talk over there. And I will say this. I wrote this down on August 17th. And here we are almost 5 weeks later. After reading all these documents, putting all these documents together and figuring this thing out. Step 1, follow the money. Step 2, time stamps. Step 3, DNA blood samples. 2 unknown male DNAs. Receipts, receipts, receipts. Why is this so important? Receipts don't lie. They're documented. Receipts don't lie. People do, but receipts will always tell the truth in every single situation. Now, let me say this with a grain of salt. Is he our suspect? No. Perhaps. He did allow them to test his DNA. Was he at the scene of the crime? Maybe. I don't know. But let me show you what doesn't lie. A document. Why are timestamps so important? Look at, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to say this. There was a vehicle involved. It was released to owner or other. There was a vehicle involved, folks. It was released. They don't tell us the make and the color, but there was a vehicle involved in this crime. Includes pickups and minivans. It was released to the owner. released to the owner. Now, 12 witnesses came together and told the story that we needed to know. The individual is originally from Coeur d'Alene, registered Moscow. The two victims named were Maddie Mogan and Kaylee Goncalves. You don't see Xana on here. You don't see Ethan on here. They connected Maddie and Kaylee to one person, or two, or maybe three. This is why you don't see Xana and Ethan, because they were on a different timeline. And that family, in my humble opinion, allegedly knows. That's why they were not in court. They knew that this potentially was not Bryan Kohberger that attacked Xana or Ethan. They didn't follow the leader. They didn't follow the narrative. But I will say this. This report, when I say timestamps, they are so important. This report was written by this agency on 11/15/2022. The FBI, the ISP, the MPD, and all the other agencies interviewed Jack DeCoeur. They gathered information as much as they possibly could. And you know what, folks? On the 15th of November, right here, this investigator wrote this document. And oh golly gee, by goodness sakes, look whose name appears on the 15th of November's report. When in fact, Moscow Payne, Detective Payne, said on the stand, we didn't learn about his name until the 19th of December. They arrested him on the 30th of December. And that little tip came from the FBI. They didn't have DNA at the time, allegedly. They had a name on the 15th of November, which then they flew the knife sheath out to Othram Labs per their police report. How in the world did they write this report on the 15th and have suspect Bryan Christopher Kohberger as a suspect 1 on the 15th of November? Please, someone explain that to me. Yes, the FBI did investigate. Yes, they had witness statements. Yes, it was factually JD, the ex-boyfriend that they interviewed. So when you begin to look at the IDAHO4, and you have to make sure that you put the details together, I don't think anyone else, I don't think the experts, I don't think anyone would think that we would ever go to the extreme to drill down into the documents, to drill down into the court paperwork, to drill down into who could actually have been responsible for this crime. In fact, Kohberger is factually innocent. So how in the world did they connect him to this case? Through individuals that may have been connected to him. Remember, they said he was not connected to the victims or the house, but it could have been a viable third party individual. Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you what, Moscow's little dirty secret is still continuing today. Still continuing today. Let me play this video for you real fast. But I have got to take off the mute. Let me see if it'll let me. It will not let me unmute this. Here we go. I got tagged in this very late last night. I have been so swamped editing videos. I am not ignoring this issue in the University of Idaho in Moscow yet again. I have shared so many dangerous historical events, and this one just happened a few days ago. Yes, the chief has made a statement and updated it. I will share that with you. But this is Austin, and he is in a induced coma. He was delivering food to the Greek Row. I won't say the actual frat house, but if you know, in the IDAHO4, what happens in the frat house. And just last month, I reported all the updated altercations, no reports, because school was back in. Now, I will say this. Austin's family needs prayer. No matter what happened, no one deserves to be kicked until they cannot move anymore. That is not a fight. That is attempted unaliving. Now, again, I didn't share right away. I wanted to vet. I wanted to see if the chief was going to make an update, and he did. And this is the statement. Chief Dallinger states, in response to the incident on Wednesday night, the University of Idaho released the following statement. Our thoughts are with the delivery driver who was injured during a delivery of food Wednesday night. We do not condone violence nor behaviors that put others at risk. They don't condone it, but do they fully investigate? My humble opinion, that would be a no. But MPD is conducting an investigation. Oh, and don't get me wrong, they're in the safe hands of No Gloves Gunderson. Just a little FYI there. So I will follow this case. I will actually reach out to the family and see if we can help in any way. But I will say this, we need to spread the awareness. These boys, frats, whatever you want to call them, this violence needs to stop. I mean, if you look at it, allegedly 4 others have lost their lives in November of 2022. Jury's still out on that one because Kohberger is factually innocent. No DNA. Still haven't identified who they are. I will follow up on this. Please keep Austin in your thoughts and prayers and keep his mother in your prayers. I can't imagine seeing my child like this because this could have been avoided. This could have been avoided. I've not seen any training among these frats to stop this type of behavior. Unacceptable. Unacceptable, Moscow. Unacceptable, University of Idaho. Unacceptable. Be well. Now, I will say this. There is an update from the chief of police 4 hours ago. And it says, Moscow police investigating physical altercation on the University of Idaho campus. This was just 4 hours ago, folks. This event happened on September 24th, 2025 at 8:53 p.m. Moscow Police Department was dispatched to a report of a battery near the intersection of Idaho Avenue and Deacon Avenue on the University of Idaho campus. Officers arrived on scene and found one adult male had sustained significant injuries. The investigation into this incident is still ongoing. No arrests have been made. No charges have been filed at this point. What? This happened 2 freaking days ago. 2 days ago. It takes two to fight. But this boy was stomped on the ground till he could not move. That is not a fight. That is a almost unaliving. The Moscow Police Department has been made aware of the rumors and misinformation being shared in public in regard to the incidents that we would like to address with the facts we've gathered in the investigations thus far. Wait a minute, Mr. Policeman. This is an open investigation. You're never supposed to share. First, the information circulating that the individual was found with significant injury was attacked by multiple assailants. You're telling me that one person put a man in the hospital and had to put him in a coma? One individual. I pray that Austin wakes up and is able to tell his side of the story and tell the truth. MPD has recovered evidence that clearly shows this was an altercation between two adult males. Oh, now we've got some body cam. Okay. Second, there is information being circulated that the male injured was curb stomped according to this incident. Well, the mother of the victim made a TikTok. Curb stomp refers the act of striking someone's head against the curb of the street with one's foot. The evidence recovered show this did not occur in this case and is false. Okay, Mr. Policeman, how in the world did something of this nature happen? How in the world did something in this magnitude happen? Because I will tell you, this does not look like just one person beat this kid up. A delivery driver bringing the frats their pizza. The police claim it was a mutual fight, the mom says. Even if it was, after they curb stomped my son, they beat him until he stopped moving. Well, it doesn't look like he's awake. It's not okay. This isn't okay. I have reshared it on my TikTok. There are several videos that she has put out there. Mutual fight is one-on-one, not multiple-on-one. These animals have got to be brought to justice, and that frat chapter needs to be closed, period. You can go and reshare her photos. That was just one of them. Now, going back to the updated from the police department, it says that MPD is also aware of the individuals in public sending what is perceived as threatening messages to the non-injured party and the person's fraternity members and acquaintances, and inserting themselves into the incident by trying to conduct their own investigation and attempting to contact and harass witnesses. MPD is cautious of anyone engaging in this type of harassing and obstructive behavior, and their actions could potentially constitute a criminal offense and they could face criminal charges. Our agency will continue to conduct its official investigation, and we ask that members of the public refrain from attempting becoming involved with this active investigation. Wow. Wow. This is rotten. If this mom believes that he has been wronged in putting this out there for the public to be aware, sounds like some type of possible alleged cover-up yet again. Wow. I'm just looking at some of these comments of 4 hours ago. I can't believe they're covering for the fraternity to quell the public backlash. I can see the frat has great standing with the police. Money talks. The evidence is uninterrupted, obscured video of a mutual fight from the start to finish. Probably not. This whole thing is fishy. How does one person basically uninjure and the other in ICU? It doesn't add up. This is a warning sign. What evidence does MPD have to dispute the allegations? Is there a video? I saw the pictures of the person in the hospital. Whoever did that to another human being needs to be held accountable. 48 hours and no arrest. Moscow, Idaho. What is wrong with you? Wow. Wow. He was just delivering food. That part matters to me. Sounds like an ambush. Was this a frat initiation? Wow. This is wild. All I can say is this is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And that, my friends, is just another little dirty secret of all the dirtiest secrets in Idaho. Not just the 4, Idaho. I appreciate every single one of you tuning into this live. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you. I appreciate every single comment that you've shared. I know it's a Friday night. You guys enjoy your freedom, enjoy your loved ones. And do me one favor. Share with somebody what you've learned. It might open their eyes. It's so important that we protect our loved ones. And how do we protect them? We share knowledge. And I agree. I feel just the same. Love you guys. Be well.
Listen up, the ashes stir, phoenix wings unfurl, seeking truth beneath the blur.
Turnings for the lax to meet the blur. Out the flames I rise, wings scorched but unbroken. Truth the blaze I wield, every rhyme's a token. In the nest we move, hearts stumping unison. Searching for the light where the system cuts our wisdom. Built on lies and steel, they boxed us in cages. Now we break the locks, rewrite history's pages. Innocent until proven guilty, that's the oath we recite. Under this constitution we ignite the night. We rise like a phoenix in sync, we claim the street. Nest seekers united, our freedom can't be beat. Stand up when one falls, yeah we got your back. In a free land unbroken, we launch the righteous attack. Justice for the voiceless, break the chains of deceit. Innocent till proven guilty, our victory's complete. System cracked at the seams, built for just a few. We rip apart the scheme, bring the truth into view. Movement swells like thunder, souls fueled by conviction. Phoenix souls aligned, demanding our new vision. Marching on the courthouse banners, paint the sky. Echoes of freedom roar, watch the old guard comply. No more hidden verdicts, no more secrets sold. Every voice is a weapon, every story be told. Innocent till proven guilty, that's our final decree. Under this constitution we stand forever free. Phoenix in the dawn, truth ignites the sky. Together we stand tall, no more asking why.